How's it going, everybody? We're going to be diving into OpsCore today, specifically the Fast SF Gen 2. A lot of the changes they've made, moving from the previous generation, which is the Fast SF Ballistic, which we've got right here. Diving into weight, feature set, and why it could be the greatest next addition to your setup. Whether you're moving from the previous gen, different helmet, we're going to dive into it all. To start off with, you can see this one's in multicam, and it is going to be at a size large. That is going to put the weight at a very specific spot. They run all their standard weight off of size large, and we will get into weight very shortly. But just a quick overrun of the helmet. We're going to start at the front with the modular bungee shroud. That was on their previous generation and was honestly one of my favorite features. This is my personal one here, and I used it with every device that I ran. It is the way to do it. It keeps it retained in one nice tight area as opposed to having to mount Velcro on a different area and pull from an odd angle. It keeps it nice and tucked in. And if you're going to run panos or something like that with a wider, and by wider I mean out here instead of kind of in this region, then I would recommend running your shot cord off of there. But anyway, as far as that area though, you're looking at the power path rail. It goes away from the two-piece on the previous gen to a one-piece and allows you to actually route your BNVD cable up and through like guys used to have to modify the old gen rails to do. They would use that as a way to further secure their BNVD cable from snag hazards to protect the vast majority of it, and it worked really well. One thing I will say is that is a slightly more permanent fit. By no means strictly permanent because all you have to do is unbolt your rails, but if you are someone that's going to be switching between helmets more than frequently or just want quick adjustment on the fly, something like this, routing it over the top or via cover, is a great way to do that, as I find myself switching between helmets decently often just for testing purposes. But if you're going to have your one primary helmet, definitely a great way to go on the power path rail. Check it out. Let us know if you have any questions. Other than that, it's the same features you've come to know and love on OpsCore ARC rails. They have all the same adjustment points, or should I say attachment slots, and you're set up and ready to go there. Moving to the back really kind of showcases the Velcro pattern a little better. It is very similar to the previous generation, but they did away with the Velcro on the top, which most of the time you're not using unless you're running a camera or something. But if that's your specialized need, it's super easy to just put some Velcro up there and you're ready to go. Other than that, Velcro pattern's pretty much the same, and they've even shed a little extra weight on the back. Speaking of weight, before we dive into the internals, let's talk exact specifics. We actually jotted these down before filming, so this is not a Google special. This was the Licentia Arms research team that brought these numbers. So here we go. As far as the large of the Fast SF Ballistic, you are looking at a system weight without any accessories on it. So as you would see it like this, but the previous generation, size large was sitting at 2 pounds, 5.8 ounces. This one specifically, size large, as you see it, is sitting at 2 pounds, 2.1 ounces. That's a pretty good disparity as far as you're talking in that 3.7 ounce range. Again, it's going to vary a little bit specific helmet to helmet, but as a general rule, you're losing, worst case scenario, 3 ounces, which is essentially like taking the rails off directly. So if you're one of those guys that like to run it super sleek, then you're essentially getting a sub 2 pound ballistic helmet without any accessories on it, which is pretty darn cool. Outside of that, let's move on to the internals, which features some of the most drastic changes outside of the weight in the shell, because again, you do lose that weight, which is awesome, but you also retain the same ballistic rating as the previous generation. But as far as the inside, to what's going to protect your head, if you take any of that impact, you have a new styling of pad. It's just an improvement on the previous generation. It uses slightly different materials and a slightly different methodology as well. The internals on the previous iteration, which we're happy to show you, are a single one piece of this very hard styrofoam material that you can see on here. Obviously these are segmented, but on the previous generation with the Lux liner, it was one solid piece. This was great if you were just using the helmet as standard, but if you needed to kind of dip into the gas masks or anything that is going to require extra room inside that helmet or size it in a funky way, that's really going to limit you. Whereas something like this with a modular system on the inside is much better. The most low-hanging fruit on that is if you're running a headband under your helmet for comms. This is going to be a much better solution than the previous generation for a big reason of the retention system that has now changed. Not only can you dig a deeper channel by removing pads, but you are also not getting that retention across the section on your head that's right above your ear where that headband would go. even if you upgraded the Team Windy Cam Fit like we always did in the previous ones, it would really put that tension right on there and dig it into your head. Flat out, it sucked and was not the way to go. Now, fortunately, you don't have to resort to that, and you do experience an upgraded interior liner that you can see here and has a better dial as well, but pulls really on the rear of the helmet with this awesome pad that essentially goes from the top of the back of the helmet to the bottom and even below to get that really secure fit on your head. The only other change as far as the internals, other than segmenting it, is going to be the way that the pad sizing adjustments come. It's more of a shim system as opposed to replacing individual pads like on the previous gen. This wasn't necessarily a bad system, but with the added modularity of this, I like it. It's a little bit more simplistic. You can just thicken or thin the pads based on the amount of shims you're going to put in certain areas to fill voids. And then especially if you're running comms, you'll have more shims to play with because you won't have that center line of pads. Other than that, I think that about covers it. We're always happy to talk shop and dive into what's going to be the best for your helmet. In saying that, we are seeing a little bit of difference in sizing as far as if you are on that center line cusp like I am myself. On the previous generation, I decided to size up just to give myself extra room for slimline beanies when it is cold outside or anything like that. I really liked having that extra room. As we always say, it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. In this case, we would recommend sizing up most of the time if you are on that middle ground because you are going to get some extra thickness taken up by that rear pad. It's comfortable and worth it, so we would recommend utilizing it as is and sizing up for the best experience. But if you do have any questions, man, like I said, we're always here to be a resource. This is a great system. It is not the only system that's out there, but it is a really high-end way to go. And if you're sitting on a Fast SF Gen 1 or Fast SF Ballistic, now you kind of know some of the reasons you may want to upgrade, or if you're content with your system, it's still a great way to go. This is not obsolete by any means, but this is a great way to go, and definitive upgrades have been made to the system that were end user based. So really great way to go about it, and we're really happy to see that they're moving in a positive direction, listening to end users, and overall just making a great product for you guys to experience. Other than that, we're always here, like I said, once again, as a resource. Happy to talk shop and improve your night vision experience. Talk soon, guys.